Well, let's do just a little walkthrough today so I can show you what we're working with here at my school. First of all, you can see this projector screen here. Yeah, projector bulb went out and had a little, I don't know, makeshift setup. Got it going now. We're back in business there. So first things first, classroom, desk. I like it at the back of the classroom, along with the entrance door to the the hallway coming in. So that stays at the back of the room. That way kids are looking up here and not looking at who's passing in the hallway. Once you start going out to the shop, we've got the shop door up here at the front of the classroom, just because that's where it works. Come through here and we'll find first thing our lockers. Okay, I got a whole pile of lockers, some sinks around next to the lockers, even more on this side. And I almost have enough for every single kid when I've got 5 full classes. My basic classes, I make them share when I'm full up. So anyway, a couple of things I do as far as management goes on the lockers. I keep track of a spreadsheet in a Google sheet that I can keep editing and adding and changing. I can easily, quickly look up a kid's locker number on my phone if I need to, since it's on Google. So I keep track of it there. Kids' names, I make them bring their own locks, and so they give me their locker combos, throw that on easily into that same spreadsheet, and then we're happy and good to go. One thing you'll notice that I hate are all these welding helmets that end up staying on top of lockers. I have a great place to keep them out here by the booths. Doesn't always happen. So, some of those things just you got to keep working at. My first little tool room here, it's a work in progress. I'll tell you that right now. Got my fridge in the back. We keep a few things in there. Got shelves. You can see it's chock full of all kinds of stuff, maybe not super organized. You can see I've got spools of wire here for MIG welding. I've got rods up here for SMAW. I've got a little toolbox I keep a few things in, keep track of that. Nice grinder rack, drill drivers and drill go in that little rack there, and a handful of other tools hanging on the wall. So also set it up so that all of our batteries for our cordless Milwaukee tools are hanging right here. It's the end of the day, so you can see they are drained and are working on charging up right now. As far as keeping things in good shape in this tool room, I don't know, it's hard. When you're letting kids in here, it's difficult to make sure that they keep it the way you want it to be, and so you got to stay on top of this pretty close. There are a handful of things that kids do not touch in here, and they are aware of what those things are and what they actually can get into. This is one of the things I let them have free access to, and it's our welding rod little station. Sorry, the light's bad in there, you can't quite see, but I've got 3 different rods here that we use a little bit in the shop. Mostly 70-18 and 60-10 is what I've been doing, but we load those up. We're towards the end of the year, so it's pretty low on, empty on 70-18s, but anyway, that's one thing that they can get into and utilize. Like I said, this is a work in progress. I've got a handful of things that I'm really hoping to do to organize it a little better. Waiting for summertime to knock that out. So anyway, there's my first little place of organizing. Oh, I should show you how I organize some of my consumables. It's a pretty nice little stack. 3 of them came from, backwards, mirror? Yeah, it came from MSC. Pretty handy. They just pull out and they've got their own little top here. This is where I keep all my plasma consumables in these pockets, and then over here on this side I've got a handful of contact tips and nozzles for GMW machines. So working on making all of them super consistent. We're going with Bernard guns, and so putting all those in there, and the contact tips that go with them. We're phasing out some of the stuff from the old Miller guns. I'm going to put Bernard guns in place of those once I'm out of the consumables. So I've got those ready to go. Also have another drawer here. This one's got a handful of SMAW parts, oxyacetylene tips, TIG rod. So keep them kind of squared away in this nice little set of drawers there. Try to keep the kids out of this, and they do pretty good to respect that. So anyway, that's where I keep some of those kind of things. As we move around the shop a little bit further, one of the other parts of the shop that I keep pretty well open to kids, but I'm gonna turn the fan off so you don't have to listen to it run the whole time. But this is our CNC plasma table. Pretty sweet machine. This one, I don't know, maybe a little outdated. I've been requesting a new one, but we'll see what happens. These kids can come in here and work on projects that they've approved with me and make things, some cool things. So anyway, I also keep some storage back there. You can see the racks with our sheet metal in it. Pretty nice to kind of keep it up and off the floor and out of the way. This is an old paint booth. We don't paint a lot, so we set this up. It's got that great exhaust system, so you pull all the plasma cutting fumes out, and that works perfectly. So if you don't have a forklift in your shop, that's something that I would look at getting for your high school shop. It is super handy, comes in super handy when you need it. So anyway, a couple other things. I do have a trolley system up on the ceiling with a couple of lifts. One's electric and one is just manual. Pull the chain and it turns. In this tool room, this is where I keep my tanks. I've got some empties over here, CO2 and oxygen, and some C25. And then working on finding a place to put my acetylenes. Risk management says they can't stay in here with all this other stuff, so we're gonna put them around the outside of this wall and out of this room, which should be good enough. I do have some shelving in here. Definitely, I don't know, this is less organized than the other room, just not quite as much stuff on each shelf. So definitely cluttered though. Another thing we'll tackle, I'm gonna do the other room first, so we'll see where I get on this one. Anyway, pipe clamp storage, bar clamp storage, whatever, the big long ones over here on this, in this corner. That's pretty handy. That's a pretty old setup for keeping those. That's been around for a long time, but it's a good way to keep them up and out of the way, hanging rather than just laying on the floor in a heap or leaning up against a corner. So pretty good. Some other things we're gonna see in the shop out here. We've got our bandsaw set up in a way that we can just bring stuff straight in through the big man door, or excuse me, through the big overhead door, and load it up easily. Got a few tables out and around, kind of in line with the pillars, like this guy, and there's another one over here. Okay, they're in line with those. Bandsaw is also in line with it, along with the shear. So we've kind of got a border around some of our workspace. Try to keep the floor open for big projects like this. This is going in our animal lab area. Hopefully gonna hold in some cattle when we're working those, or when the animal science class is working them. Another table out here for kids to work on, chip their welds when they're running an SMAW or a flux core. And then over here by the wall, we've also got our cooling station. Sorry, that door's bright, but there's a little trough down on the floor here that it's got some water in it for them to cool their welds. Over here's a pretty cool table. For cutting, we've got a manifold system set up with some oxyacetylene torches, and cutting falls right through, along with back over here, plasma cutters down here on the floor, plugs in just behind. So we can pull the leads out and use the plasma cutter on the same table. Booths all around behind me here, all the way corner around to another corner and around a couple more. I've got, in most of them, I've got the Multimatic 200 is what they are. The Miller Multimatic 200. Pretty nice little multi-process machine. One thing that I always deal with is having to come through and shut them down, because apparently I don't have my kids trained well enough to get them turned off for me every day. So every once in a while we got to go through and make sure that all of them are turned off, gas is turned off, that kind of thing. So I do have a couple other machines, some Ideal Arc, Lincoln Ideal Arc 250s in a couple of the booths where we can run a couple of things, carbon arc gouging on one of them, and it works pretty good. Out here in the middle of the floor, I guess not the middle, but this, when I was going to high school, these tables we used for oxyacetylene welding, and I've kind of gone away from that. I'm not doing any oxyacetylene welding in our classes right now. So retrofitted these with a grate down on the bottom of them, okay, and then we're doing some, in this case right here, we're doing some DC TIGs, lift arc right here on this booth, and then on this side over here I've got high frequency set up, and you can run aluminum or whatever they want, I guess. Most of our assignments are all on carbon steel, so that's where we're running that stuff. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea of what's going on in my shop, some of the things I deal with and look at. You know, some other tools out there. We didn't spend much time looking at pedestal grinders, or didn't spend any time looking really at the bandsaw or the shear, but they're there. It all works pretty good. I do have a really nice drill press out there. In the Weber shop that I worked in a while ago, we had a, can't think of what it's called now, a mill, there we go. Had a nice mill set up and a little lathe. Don't have those here, but anyway, some good things going on, and you know, that's where I start. And so if you got questions about my shop or why I don't do one thing or the other, you're welcome to comment or ask or whatever. So anyway, just try plugging along one day at a time. Good luck.